10 things you didn't know about American muscle cars. Many people dream of the day they can own a vintage American muscle car. Not sure exactly why that is the case, since it is proven that American cars don't run as well as they once did. American muscle cars era has long passed, making vintage vehicles from the 1960s through the 1980s valuable collectibles today. Since you're watching this video, you most likely have some knowledge of muscle vehicles. Well, in this video, we will tell you 10 facts about American muscle cars that will either put your knowledge to the test or reveal something new to you. Number 10. Nobody is aware of the first American muscle car. The Pontiac GTO from 1964 is typically cited as the very first muscle vehicle ever made. However, there is a population of fans who claim that the 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88 was the true origin of the muscle car, and they say so since they have really paid close attention to what this car was about. It was about a foot smaller than the 98 series equivalent, and featured a scaled black body with a V8 engine. The 303 cubic inch engine inside the Oldsmobile Rocket 88 produced 135 horsepower and featured a 2-barrel carburetor. It had a strong low-end speed with horsepower and torque, but it could only exceed 97 miles per hour. Although unclear, let's assume the original was the latter. Number 9. They need a great deal of maintenance. A bunch of adrenaline is undoubtedly released when driving a muscle car because of its incredible power and distinctive appearance. Although one should always keep in mind that no quality is indefinite, a car failure is bound to occur sooner or later, and when it does, you may expect to pay a hefty price for it. While it may be possible to find appropriate and reasonably priced spares, it can end up being quite difficult overall. Even if you are excited about driving this car, you will have to wait as it has a lengthy delivery arrival time, which can often be close to a month. Finding a car guru with competence in muscle vehicles is another difficult task. American automobiles, in all honesty, don't belong in the mainstream. Because of this, the majority of auto mechanics are unfamiliar with American automotive technology. But for such a car, it is crucial to have a professional come to the rescue. Even before making the purchase, you need to do the necessary preparations. These so-called living fossils require a lot of care and patience, both of which have long-term benefits. Checking the history of your automobile insurance will help you ensure that no catastrophic breakdowns are in your future and will help keep maintenance expenses low. Finding a specialist and a parts supplier is the second step because doing so in the rush of the situation could be confusing. Watch out because these muscle cars have more demands than your wife does. We don't have many demands on this channel, but it would be awesome if you could give this channel a subscribe. Number 8. Finding new parts is challenging. Finding the appropriate parts for the engine, exterior, or interior of some models can be challenging and expensive. In some cases, customers have spent years assembling all the parts required to repair their car. Nobody wants to discuss the fact that muscle vehicles, which are composed of thin metal sheets, suffer from corrosion. And you shouldn't have a heart attack when you discover that your muscle car is rusting because of the challenges involved in fixing it. The hardest part is trying to find new body panels. Gearheads collect any spotless body parts. Radios and blower motors, for example, are difficult to locate. Since vintage automobiles are no longer produced, finding their parts will need a lot of blood and sweat. Most car owners simply wish they had never purchased their vehicle because when someone owns this car, it is important to maintain its personality. So before purchasing one of these muscle automobiles, give it a thought not once, but at least twice. Muscle car parts are harder to find than an engagement ring. Number 7. The road as a testing ground. It is understandable why the early 1970s were regarded as the heyday of NASCAR, since so many vehicles were constructed with racing engines during that time. Not everyone is aware of how closely connected certain muscle cars were to NASCAR. Before a car design could be authorized, automakers had to sell 500 vehicles to qualify for NASCAR racing. As a result, a few of the muscle cars produced at this time served as racing car prototypes. The 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 is one such car. 3 alternative engine configurations were available for this vehicle at launch: the lightest T-code, the racing-oriented S-code, and the subsequent A-code with a redesigned valve train and pollution equipment. If this was news to you, leave us a like so we know to create more videos with interesting facts just like this. Number 6. Australia previously made muscle cars. The muscle automobiles that formerly ruled the streets are primarily associated with the USA, but Australia also had a sizable fan base for them. A recent study makes it clear that muscle vehicles were popular in Australia at the same time as they were in the USA. Chrysler Australia, Ford Australia, and Holden are a few of Australia's major muscle car producers. Australia's government cracked down on muscle cars in the 1970s because their prototypes could reach speeds of 170 miles per hour, which were dangerous. Number 5. Fuel efficiency never was taken into account. The fuel consumption of previous muscle vehicle generations is a significant issue. These vehicles were created in a time when gasoline was dirt cheap, and the competition among automakers focused on engine power and performance. However, as technology advanced, so did the manufacturers. As a result, the fuel economy of modern muscle cars is comparable to that of BMW or Mercedes vehicles. It is simpler to decide whether to purchase such a classic means of transportation now that fuel consumption is not a concern for the newer generations. These cars just drink as much fuel as they can, just like we drink sodas. Even though some muscle vehicles have little engines, the majority of these are gas guzzlers. For instance, the most popular engines used in numerous vehicles were those found in the Dodge Magnum 440, Dodge Hemi, Chevy Nova, and Chevy 350. When these engines were developed, fuel efficiency was not even a factor. Number 4. Lack of security. Driving quickly is fantastic. There's nothing like getting drawn into your chair by acceleration. There's only one drawback. Speeding is hazardous as well. Numerous studies that demonstrate a connection between driving too fast and fatal incidents have been published by researchers, but it doesn't take a researcher to grasp why speed causes more severe crashes. The probability of injuries while speeding and the fact that American muscle vehicles aren't designed to be driven slowly really goes to show that safety really should have been a higher priority while designing them. Sadly, safety as a priority has not always been the case. Even the most ardent supporter of old cars would be turned off by the GM crash test of the 1960s. The solution, however, is as simple as adding a safety cage, and you are then set to go. The American car industry has made significant progress in this area, enough to pass the required safety inspections. Despite its appealing appearance and standing as an icon, it is important to bear this particular fact in mind when thinking about buying an old vintage muscle car. These car makers were really like, we're making cars and you just take care of your life by yourself. Number 3. Luxury fuel could be needed. One widespread auto myth is the idea that premium fuel would increase any car's performance. The only thing that will change if you fill a conventional car with premium fuel is the size of your bank account. But that does not imply that expensive fuel is ineffective. It's essential for some extremely powerful muscle automobiles. To operate properly, muscle cars, particularly those that have been tuned to produce hundreds or perhaps thousands of horsepower, may need premium fuel. A large compression ratio can be achieved by tuning some motors. If so, higher octane gas will be necessary for them to operate as effectively as possible. These cars demand luxury, just like your ladies do. Number 2. Insufficient modern comfort features. It should not be shocking that there are no contemporary comfort amenities. The oldest muscle vehicles date back more than 50 years. Don't expect your cherished vintage Dodge Charger or Chevrolet Camaro to have air conditioning or even a high-definition stereo system. And we know that modern comfort amenities might be useful, particularly during everyday commutes. While the audio in a car may be replaced by the roaring V8, air conditioning is almost a must to increase comfort, and we can't forget heated seats, motorized windows, or even Bluetooth capability. We'll have to remark that these cars are not for you if you enjoy listening to music while driving. Of course, music cannot be sacrificed, right? It seems unfair that after paying a lot of money, you can't listen to music. Now, I wouldn't sit in a hot car without music for hours of driving. What about you? If you wouldn't mind sitting in a car like this, leave this video a like so we can get you more cool videos about vintage vehicles. Number 1. They leak various fluids. Oil changes are one of a muscle car owner's least concerning tasks. Fluid leaks that never stop are among the most prominent problems with classic muscle cars or any vintage vehicles. When owners take their gleaming muscle cars out of the garage, they often discover a bright puddle underneath. Some automotive parts are prone to failure, especially after years of use. Even a simple faulty seal can cause a fluid leak, which is by no means the end of the world. But dealing with various leaks on many occasions every year can get irritating. These leaking autos are a hassle. These vehicles bleed fuel as if they were marking their territory. These cars simply sweat a lot. Now, we are sure despite the cons of these cars, driving around in a vintage car with style is the biggest selling point. For those of you that are car buffs, may also enjoy our other video about how to look richer with cheaper cars. Don't forget to tune back into our channel for more exciting videos. Till next time.